Yo, what's going on guys? Welcome back to a brand new video on the channel. Inside of today's video, going to be taking a look at the very best builds for every single brawler inside of a game. So these are going to be the best star powers to use and the best gadgets to use, and these might vary between different game modes as well. So before we get into today's video, make sure you're using a creator code, and mine would be greatly appreciated if you're thinking about buying any offers or skins in a shop. So without further ado, let's jump straight into it. Alright guys, so we're going to be working our way all the way from the starting brawlers all the way up into the chromatic brawlers. So there'll be timestamps in between different rarities, so make sure to check that out. So yeah, first one's going to be Shelley. This is going to be nice and simple. Shell Shock is going to be by far the better star power. It slows enemies for 4 seconds every single time you use super them. Then also for the gadget, fast forward is going to be way better. Clay Pigeons, one of the worst gadgets in the game, so that's going to be the best build for Shelley. So next up is Nita. This is going to be fairly simple to decide. So the best build for every single game mode except for Heist is going to be Bear With Me and the Fox for gadget. This is just makes Bruce a killing monster. It's so hard to actually take down Bruce when you're constantly healing him and giving him that extra shield. And then for Heist, you want to be using the Hyper Bear star power and the Bear Paws gadgets. So yeah, that's going to be the best build. The best build for Colt is Magnum's special star power with the Silver Bullet gadget. These two combine really well on the maps that Colt specializes on, just like GG Mortis, as it allows you to break up the map the way you really want to with that extra range. In Brawl, you can for sure use the Slick Boost star power if you prefer that extra speed. So the best build for Bull is going to be the Tough Guy star power 100% of the time, and the T-Bone Injector gadget, which allows you to get that extra health boost and allowing you to stay alive for much longer. However, you can opt to use the second gadget if you play Bull in game modes like Brawl and Gem Grab, as you can easily confirm kills with this gadget. So the best build for every single game mode except for Heist is going to be the Energized style power, allowing you to heal up your turret, keeping it alive for much longer, and the Spark Plug gadget as well, which slows enemies within the turret's radius, allowing you to confirm those kills so much easier, allowing you to keep control. But on Heist, you want to be using the Recall Spring gadget, because if you're left alone on that Heist safe, you can deal so much damage with this gadget. So the best build for Brock in every single game mode is going to be the Incendiary star power. This helps with taking down turrets and dealing extra damage to enemy Ikes and safes, and can help with some good zoning. The Rocket Fuel gadget is a really good gadget. It allows you to break open walls so much easier, and also dealing some good damage to enemies because it's so easy to connect onto enemies with how fast and how big this rocket is. So the best build for Dynamike in every single game mode is going to be the Demolition star power, allowing you to do 4080 damage with every super hit, and effectively this one shots so many different brawlers in the game. And also the Satchel Charge gadget is one of the best gadgets in the game, as if you hit the next attack with Dynamike, you're going to be stunning the enemies for 1.5 seconds, and this gives you enough time to confirm the kills. So the best build for Bow in every single game mode except for Bounty is going to be the Slayer a Bear star power, which stuns enemies for 2 seconds if they hit those mines, which allows you to get the kills much easier. I use the Tripwire gadget a lot of the time as well, which blows up all mines after 1.5 seconds, although it can be really hard to time it right. When you do time this right, it can catch enemies off guard and deal a lot of damage. I also use this to break up a lot of walls in a Brawl as well, scoring those quick and easy goals. The Super Totem gadget can be effective when playing a defensive comp in Bounty, or just when a comp relies on getting your super a lot of times, like in Snake Prairie. So the very best build for Tick in every single game mode is going to be the Well-Oiled star power, which allows you to start recovering health 2 seconds faster than normal, allowing you to keep up control and pressure more often. Other players may opt to use the Automatic star power, which allows you to start reloading 9% quicker, which allows you to spam shots a lot more frequently. The best gadget by far though for Tick is going to be the Last Hurrah gadget. Tick becomes invulnerable for 1 second, knocking back the enemy and dealing 1k damage. This gadget comes in clutch so many times. So for 8-bit, the best build is a fairly simple one. All pro players will opt to use the plugged in star power, giving 8-bit a really good speed boost when inside the turret's range. The preferred gadget in every single game mode as well is going to be the Cheat Cartridge gadget, as it allows you to go aggro, gaining a lot of pressure, and whenever you're really low, you can just teleport straight back to your turret, and hopefully your turret should be in a safe position, allowing you to heal up for the most part. The best build for Ems is going to be the Hype star power, which allows you to heal for 420 per second for each enemy inside her super. This can lead to some really good value, as it makes it really hard for the enemy team to take you down, especially if you've got a couple of people inside of that super. You can be healing so much every single second. On maps with longer lanes and not many walls, a bad karma star power will probably be the better choice. And Ems only has one gadget, which pushes back enemies within a small radius, so you can only really use that gadget. So the best build for Stu, it all depends on your playstyle. If you find yourself in more aggro positions, then the Gasser heal star power would be the better choice for you, because every single super you heal for 500. This can be really effective when spamming the super button, as sometimes you can heal 1000 per ammo, as it only takes one bullet to actually charge your super. So if you're spamming that super button really fast, you're going to be finding this, as you probably see in the gameplay. Personally though, I prefer the zero drag star power, as it allows me to be a lot more mobile with a 71% increase in Stu's dash, making it much harder for enemies to actually hit me and a lot easier for me to make good plays. I wouldn't really say there's a complete best build for Primo, as there's two different playstyles in my opinion. So if you're playing Brawl or find yourself really wanting to hard counter those tanks, then the El Fuego star power and the suplex gadget is the best build for you, because the extra damage from the star power allows you to get kills much easier, and then the suplex gadget just allows you to stun the enemies and then jump on them and repeat and just destroy them. But you can also use the other build of the Meteor Rush star power and the Astro Belt gadget, because what this can do, the Asteroid Belt gadget can give you really good pressure, forcing enemies into uncomfortable positions, and then the star power, the extra speed, just allows you to cycle super much easier. So the best star power for Barley will always be the extra nauseous star power. The extra 200 damage allows you to destroy most brawlers, and it can also deal so much damage to the enemy Ike or the Save, which are his best modes for the gadget. Both are really good options. For the most part, I prefer the Herbal Tonic gadget, because a lot of times you can get so much value with healing you and your teammate. It can allow you to win those 1v1 interactions. Winning that first interaction can be so important on the game mode like Siege. However, if you find yourself facing a lot of aggro brawlers or anticipate the enemy team using some aggro brawlers, then the Sticky Syrup Mixer gadget will be really good, because it allows you to slow enemies for 4 seconds, allowing you to protect yourself and get the kill much easier. So for Poco, the best star power depends on your composition. If you plan on playing tanks or an aggro brawler, then the Capo will be the better choice, as you can heal your teammates for 700 per ammo. However, Poco can also be really good and get some good value if you use the Screeching Solo star power, as you can deal significant damage to multiple enemies through walls, and it can honestly be a really surprising factor. The Tuning Fork gadget will always be the better choice, as it provides 400 healing per second for 5 seconds to you and nearby teammates, so that's going to be the best choices. So for Rosa, the best build is the Plant Life star power and Unfriendly Bushes gadget. Plant Life allows you to heal 200 per second when inside a bush and can keep you alive in so many different circumstances. Also, Unfriendly Bushes is one of the best gadgets in the game, and it allows you to scout enemies inside bushes with the 100 damage that it provides, but also slows them for 3 seconds, making it really easy for Rosa and other teammates to catch up and confirm kills on them. So for Rico, the best builder really depends on the map you play on. If the map has a lot of walls and you find yourself bouncing your shots for the most part, then Super Bouncy is going to be the better option, as it gives you a 124 extra damage with the first bounce. A good example of maps where this is better on are Hot Potato and Hard Rock Mine. However, for maps without many walls, the Robo Retreat star power is going to be the better option, as when Rico goes below 40% HP, he runs 34% faster, and it can be really hard for enemies to actually hit you, obviously making it easy to dodge shots, and can overall be really annoying. So for Darryl, the better star power is always going to be the Steel Hoop star power, as it gives you a 90% shield for the time that you actually roll in. The gadget can really depend on your personal preference though. The Recoiling Rotator gadget allows you to charge your super 25% faster with every single bullet you hit. That is going to be the gadget I use for the most part. But also the Tar Barrel gadget can be really good, as it slows enemies within Darryl's radius for up to 5 seconds, so this is going to allow you to get closer to the enemy, hence dealing a lot more damage. So for Penny, the best build is pretty simple. Every single mode, pros use the Balls of Fire star power and the Captain's Compass gadget. The Balls of Fire star power can be really good for zoning enemies, as it deals 400 damage for 3 seconds for people within the radius. Captain's Compass can be really good at dealing large amounts of damage to either non-moving objects like Ikes or safes, or for potential aggro threats. So the best build for Colt can really depend on a player's preference. The Flying Hook gadget is by far the best gadget, as it allows you to be so much more mobile around the map, making room for so many different possibilities. But both star powers can be really viable for Colt, as a protective pirouette style power gives Colt a 35% shield whilst he uses his super, making it so Colt can be a lot more aggro with his super and get a lot more kills. Power throw star power allows Colt to throw his pickaxe 13% faster and can be better suited for players that like to keep their distance a lot more and focus on their main attack rather than his super. So for Jacky, the best build for me is going to be the Hardy Hard Hat star power. For the most part, I'm going to be using this star power because it allows Jacky just to tank that a little bit more, because sometimes it can be really hard to get closer to the enemies. But if you're finding a lot of times that you're finding a lot of aggro brawlers, then a Counter Crusher star power can be really good because it has got buffed within the last set of balance changes, and it's actually a larger radius than Jacky's main attack, so it can catch a lot of people off surprise, but it can be down to personal preference which one you prefer. So for Piper, it can really depend on the map for which build to use, but for me, for the most part, I'll be using the Snappy Sniping star power with the homemade recipe gadget, because the Snappy Sniping star power allows you to get 0.4 of an ammo back for every single shot you hit. This can be really good against those aggressive brawlers, or if you're consistently hitting those shots, you're going to be getting a lot more damage. On the bushier maps, I will be using the ambush star power because you can get an extra 800 damage at max range. That can be really good, but I will always use the homemade recipe everywhere, except for maybe gem grabs. Sometimes if I'm facing those aggro brawlers, I will switch to the auto aim gadget. So the best build for Pam is going to be really easy option, as she only has one gadget, but also with the star power, Mama Squeeze is going to be by far the better choice for her, because every single time the enemy is inside your turret, they'll get dealt 800 damage per second. This can be really good, especially if you go really aggro with Pam's turret, because not only will the turret heal you, it'll also deal that extra bit of damage to the enemy to help you secure the kill. So for the best build for Frank, it's going to be pretty simple. Everywhere I'll be using the Sponge star power and the active noise cancelling gadget. The Sponge star power gives Frank an extra 1100 HP, and the active noise cancelling gadget can be really good for Frank because a lot of times his super can become useless, especially if the enemy team has like a knockback or a stun, but this gadget allows him to momentarily become immune to those stuns, slows and knockbacks, allowing you to get that super off and allow you to do a lot more damage on the field. So best builds for Bibi are pretty simple. So there's only one gadget for Bibi, so you've got to be using that every single time. And then for star powers, Baton Stance star power is going to be really good when you've got like a healer in her comp, so like a Byron or a Poco. You can get some really good value out of Baton Stance star power, as it gives you a 20% shield. Also, with the maps with a lot of walls, I use this Baton Stance star power, but when there's a lot of open space and in siege as well, I'll be using the home run star power, as this gives you a 12% speed boost, allowing you to collect those bolts and just maneuver the map a lot easier. The best build for B is pretty simple. Again, the insta B-load star power is going to be by far the better choice. It gives you an extra charge shot even when you miss the first one. And then for the gadget as well, the Rattled Hive gadget used to be really good a few months ago. It's received a lot of nerfs and right now it's really bad, so I always use the honeypot gadget, because a lot of times you can put this honeypot behind a wall and it can be really annoying for the enemy team to take it down if they don't have like a thrower or some kind of wall destruction to take it down. And that's going to be the best build. So for Nani, the best builds can really depend on maps and modes, but for every single game mode, I'll be using the autofocus star power, because this gives Nani an extra 2500 damage with her peep super. But for gadgets, this can depend on game mode. So for bounty, for every single map, I'll be using the return to sender gadget, because what this does is it reflects 80% of the damage and it returns it to the enemy, which can be really clutch, especially on those maps like Shooting Star. If you've ever experienced the gadgets, it can just be so clutch in so many circumstances. But for every other game mode, I'll be using the Warp Blast gadget, which enables you to TP with the peep. So a lot of times in highs, people will just teleport on the high save and deal a lot of damage. So the best build for Edgar is going to be really simple. Edgar only has one gadget, but with the star powers as well, every single time all the pro players use the hard landing star power, because it gives you an extra 1000 damage when you land on top of nearby enemies. So this can really help you get those kills much quicker, and a lot of the times people can just take down Edgar because he's so squishy, so that extra damage can really help in those gunfights. So for the best builds for Mortis, it can really depend on a player's preference, but in terms of star powers, it's always going to be the Cord Snake star power, because it can just enable you to dash onto the enemy with great ease from a long distance. But with gadgets, it can just prefer on what you enjoy the most. So I use Survival Shovel for the most part because it gives Mortis a faster reload for 4 seconds. This can actually charge your super, unlike the Combo Spinner. But Combo Spinner, it gives you instant damage for 1300 damage every single time use the gadget, and can be really good at those clutch situations, especially when you've got no ammo. You can just finish it off a kill like that. But as I said, it just depends on what gadget you prefer. So for Tora, I feel like the builds can really depend on your playstyle, but for the most part, I'll be using the support from behind gadget, because you can just win your lane and have a lot of pressure with those pets, especially against those single shot brawlers like Jean likes to do. For example, it's going to take them a lot of ammo to take down those pets, giving you control of the lane. But with Psychic Enhancer, I'll be using that gadget on really bushy maps like Snake Prairie. And then star powers, it really does just depend on what you prefer. I prefer the healing shade because you get a lot of healing potential from either you or your teammates behind you. It can be really annoying and hard for the enemy team to take down that pet, and just allows you to be a lot more aggro. But also Black Portal can be really good because it wastes a lot of enemy ammo and can help you out with the DPS that you were lacking on. So the best build for Jean is pretty simple. You're going to use no other than the star power magic puffs. It heals up your teammates around you for 400 per second. That's going to be by far the best star power. And again, the best gadget to use can be Lamp Blowout. The other gadget for Jean is just terrible. So these are going to be the only options for Jean. So for Max, you're only going to want to use one build, and that's going to be the Supercharged Star Power and the Phase Shifter gadget. So the Supercharged Star Power makes it so when you're running around the map, you automatically charge up your super. So you could basically be doing nothing, standing behind a wall, and you're going to be charging that max super. So that's going to be the better option in terms of star powers, because you're going to be getting on average probably like 4 to 5 more max speeds than when you'd use the run and gun. And that's the main reason why Max is better, because of a super being able to get pressure a lot of times when you and your teammates can get sped up. And then with the gadget as well, there's only really one gadget that's good for Max. That's going to be Phase Shifter, because you can basically become way more mobile, tank so many shots, and score so many good goals with Max. So for Mr. P, the build depends on what map and mode you play him on. For the gadget, the Service Bell gadget is going to be by far the better gadget, as the Porter Reinforcements gadget got a huge nerf with the last set of balances. Revolving Door Star Power is great on maps with a lot of walls, as porters spawn every single second after the active one has died. So this allows for a lot of pressure, as the enemies are constantly shooting those porters. Handle Care should be used on the long range maps or the maps that don't have a lot of walls. The builds for most modes and maps for Sprout is going to be the Photosynthesis Star Power with the Garden Mulcher gadget. The Star Power essentially makes Sprout a mini tank, and the gadget allows for instant rehealing. The Transplant gadget is great on Siege, as you can block off the enemy boss in some places, making it such a strong defense. Overgrowth can also be a great choice on those longer range maps where there aren't really a lot of bushes, just like Backyard Bowl. So the best build for Byron is a nice and easy one. The Injection Star Power is by far the better option for Byron, as the other star power is essentially useless. The star power allows you to pierce your shot every 3.5 seconds, allowing for some great value if played correctly. There is only one gadget for Byron, and it's a really strong one, allowing you to heal a lot of HP passively. The best star power for Spike will 90% of the time be the Curveball Star Power. This gives Spikes a lot more range and makes it so much more easier to hit shots with him consistently. The Fertilize Star Power can be useful on game modes like Siege and Heist if playing on a map with a lot of walls. And for Spike, there's only one gadget, and this is only really useful when someone is directly on him, like an Ike or a Safe or an enemy tank. The best build for Crow used by all pros is the Extra Toxic Star Power with the Slowing Toxin gadget. Extra Toxic makes it so enemies deal 25% less damage when poisoned, which can have a great effect as the game goes on. The Slowing Toxin gadget is one of the best gadgets in the game, as it slows all poisoned enemies for 5 seconds, which is such a long time and makes it so easy for you and your teammates to pinch and confirm kills. So for Leon, there's only really one star power which is competitively viable, and that's the Invisi-Heal Star Power. So what this enables you to do, because of Leon's really slow reload speed, it can be hard for him to chain the kills really quickly. So Invisi-Heal, he can stay in and around the action whilst healing up for 1000 per second once his super is activated, and then once he's able to obviously get his ammo back, he can then regain the action and kill again. So he only has only one gadget as well. The Clone gadget is only really good for scouting purposes. So for Sandy, it really matters what mode and a map and composition that you play him on. So for really grassy maps, I tend to use the Rude Sand Star Power. So it deals 100 damage per second when the enemies are inside it. It helps reveal their position inside of the grass and can help you gain control. But with Sandy as well, he also has the Healing Wind Star Power. This can be really good with tankier combinations and just good in general when there isn't a lot of bushes on the map, because you're healing for 300 per second. You can win a lot of good team fights with this star power, and he only has one gadget which allows him to heal up fully after 2 seconds. Amber, I feel like there's no doubt in my mind when I say that the Wild Flames star power is the best star power. So this basically makes it so whenever there's a puddle of fuel, you can stand by that puddle and automatically recharge your super again. So a lot of times you can get multiple puddles of fuel around the map. And what this does, it blocks off so many different choke points that can just be really good for Amber, because a lot of the times she may not win every single 1v1 interaction, so she can play really defensively and get that super and block off a lane, for example. And she only has one gadget. This gives her a little speed boost, and you can connect onto enemies much quicker with this gadget. So for Gale, 90% of the time I'll be using the blustery blow star power. What this enables you to do, especially with maps with a lot of walls, you can constantly stun your enemies when you push them back with a super for 1 second. It's really good, especially against those tankier comps. The only reason I use the other star power, freezing snow, is when there's a really open map. You can get some good control because you freeze the enemies for 0.3 seconds with every single shot. And Gale only has one gadget in the game at the moment, which is a spring trap. This can be really good on certain maps, making you push forward on the map much easier. So there's another easy build, as Surge is only viable with his Serve Ice Cold star power. This allows him to keep his stage 2 even if he dies. Surge only has the one gadget, but this gadget is one of the best gadgets in the game. So for Colette, the best star power will depend on the game mode and map. In game modes like Siege and Heist, the mass attacks star power will be the best option. Colette can easily cycle her supers on maps like Kaboom Canyon, and this star power allows for amazing synergies with brawlers like Byron, because if you're just healing for Colette with the shield, it's going to be so hard for the enemy team to take it down. Her push it star power will be much better everywhere else, as it helps to get kills so much quicker. With 2 normal shots and a double hit from the super, you can kill every single brawler in the game. The best star power for Lou will always be the super cool star power. This star power helps to get a lot more value from your supers, as enemies will get frozen over time. The other star power for Lou is really hard to get value and to see value out of it. And with Lou's gadget, he only has one gadget and it's only useful in certain circumstances. The best star power for Ruffs will always depend on the team composition or their playstyle. For the most part, air superiority will be the better star power, as it can help redesign the map the way you want it, breaking up some crucial lanes. However, field promotion can also be a really good star power in some slow defensive comps. Your playstyle will have to be very control based, with a lot of emphasis on not dying to keep all the HP that you have earned over time. And Ruffs' gadget, well, there's only one gadget, is the sandbags. It can be really good in a lot of situations. Belle only has 1 star power in the game at the moment, but her 2nd star power makes it so when enemies are marked by Belle's super, they will not be able to reload for 3 seconds. So at first, I thought this was going to be a really broken star power, but Belle's super is really hard to hit, and it also takes 5 shots to actually charge her super every single time, which is a long time when you think about it. And as I said, so even with the new star power coming out, I'm pretty positive that the positive feedback star power will be better. Belle only has 1 gadget as well, but the mines can be really good, especially when put into those choke positions. Alright guys, this is going to be the end of today's video. Make sure you drop in a like and subscribing if you're not already, if you like this type of content. This took me way over 16 hours to actually record, edit, script, all of that good stuff. It took a very long time. So as I said, I'm looking to do at least 1 guide a week. So drop down in the comment section below what type of guide you want to see next time. Probably every single Friday/Saturday I'll be bringing out these guides. So as I said, drop your suggestions down in the comment section below. But that's going to be it for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed. Don't forget to like, comment and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.